Gandhi resolved to ensure that this experience was not one from which he would run. Instead, he pledged to himself that he would make this experience the basis of a fight against racism and discrimination. The British Empire was an ideological contradiction, as Arthur Wellesley once wrote on British rule in India, "If we lose our character for truth and good faith, we have but little to stand upon in this country." This view was expanded upon later as more liberal British politicians argued that the British should educate and lift indigenous people out of their poverty and make them free and equal citizens of the empire. This was all well and good, but its success depended on the people in charge of the respective colonies, and all too often racism and oppression of native peoples and minorities became commonplace, and by far the most divided and hostile British colony for both African and Indian people was South Africa. In 1894, as Gandhi was preparing to return home, his contract over, the Natal government proposed a new law that would deny Indians the right to vote. They were a community which had become relatively numerous by this stage in the Transvaal and Natal states. Despite their numbers, the Indian minority in the state had been discriminated against regularly. They were denied the right to trade in certain areas. There were restrictions on places of residence, as well as immigration and citizenship limitations. Enraged by this new law, Gandhi decided to stay in the country and helped to establish the Natal Indian Congress, which would go on to oppose the South African government's increasingly harsh legislation against Indian rights over the coming years. Gandhi argued that any resistance to the new laws should always be non-violent, as inflicting harm on whites would do nothing but escalate the oppression and portray Indians in a negative light.